Oh, what Kirsten said. I was like listening and I took a few notes because I was like, this is wild that we're having our shows at the same time because what's the first thing? Oh, you said treat everyone with kindness. You never know their struggle. And I was like, ha 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 ha, just wait till we go next door because here's my struggle. Like, here you go. And then you said, you talked about how we carry all of these weights like in secret and in hiding. And I'm like, this is a show about being real tired of doing that. And so, yeah, so I have ADHD, like all of it. And this show is pretty much about that, about my experience with that, about being a creative person who deals with that. It affects my process, it affects my brain, my creativity, my ability to meet certain deadlines. You can laugh, it's okay, you can laugh, please, God. Yeah, and it's very personal, and it tells a lot of things about me. Some will remain secret today, but some don't have to. But I don't, all of my shows, I mean, my last show was a very specific story that had nothing almost to do with the visual. Like, you would have to kind of know what it was about to realize that those images were related at all. And I'm still not going to tell you about that. But so like, I just wanted to make something that I wanted to see, you guys. I've been so bored. I just wanted to like see something bright and happy and colorful. And I'm in a super neon place right now, and a super like iridescent place. And so just making this stuff was really, it was very exciting for me. Does anybody know where this came from? Like, do you know my ADHD people and my meme people, me. So there's this meme, and it's like this old-timey, like 1800s physician, like kind of attending to like a person on a table, and it says something about like, oh, you have ghosts in your blood. I do cocaine about it, which is like how people used to be treated. It was just like, ah. And what's funny about ADHD is that the treatment is basically a microdose of meth. It's methamphetamine, but it acts completely differently in a neurodivergent brain than it does in a neurotypical brain, which I'm happy to explain that to you. But so yeah, I had always loved that. I thought it was hilarious, and I was like, I do have ghosts in my blood, and so that's what I called it, and it felt really good. And my last show was in the title, and I have like a list of titles that include in the, because it's just like Paul Simon uses a bunch of in his lyrics, and I have like a whole list that I've had just for like a decade of Paul Simon lyrics that are like lasers in the jungle somewhere. So that's where that came from. And it fits, and there are hella ghosts up in this blood. Okay, yeah. Do you know what ADHD is? Like what it is here?
I think I do, but go ahead.
Okay. So basically, you're neurotypical, right? Yeah. Yeah. You need, a certain part of your brain needs a certain kind of stimulation, but like your brain provides that. So you have no knowledge of this just constantly happening, and you can go along your business, blah, blah, blah. My brain needs that stimulation, but the chemical that gives it is not there. So it just doesn't exist. So an ADHD person is just constantly searching for that stimulation to be fulfilled. So it's kind of funny when we think about like hyperactivity, it like, okay, we're like that because we don't have enough activity. So our brain is just like searching and searching. So when I take a stimulant, it stimulates this part of the brain kind of secretly up here. And then I can be like, oh, I should eat something today. Oh, maybe I should check my email and maybe even reply. So it lets me do things like think and participate. Yeah, does that answer your question? Okay, awesome. Yeah, so we just have to find that stimulation somewhere else. So I'm 40. Woo! And I only just started taking medication in January. And so like this right now, being medicated while I'm creating is a completely new thing for me. And frankly, like during this process, I had several projects overlapping. So like, I'm kind of a data-driven person. I'm kind of like a science person. I can't give you like an actual answer of what it's like to make a show now being medicated because I was doing 800 things and I can't separate that. So I'm excited to see what that's like when I just wake up and I'm like, oh, let me make some art. And I have nothing else going on. But as a creative person, I take it as a strength. I absolutely take it as a strength. The shows that I've done and the work that I've done and my process and just how I handle all of those things to get things done. I really enjoy that about myself. Like, I love the process. I like having shows, but I really like the process. And I can do that, no problem. It's when like the official stuff is added on that my brain is like, so I'm actually looking forward to maybe creating a body of work without a deadline. I stand here talking about a show where I had a deadline, and I love this show. I feel weird about saying that. But I'm interested to science this even further, I guess is what I'm saying, and to figure out what it is like to be a medicated person making stuff, because I have no idea, and it's just going to be totally different. But I've honestly never had a problem being a creative person affected by ADHD. It's kind of like in my studio is where nobody's watching me. I'm allowed to, play my same album over and over and over and over and over. I'm allowed to like, go back and forth across the room because I forgot this brush. Oh, this brush isn't clean. Oh, I ruined it because I forgot to wash it out. Okay, let me get where's the other one? Oh, it's upstairs. Oh, I gotta go. And nobody sees me doing that, and so I don't feel like I have to hide it. I don't have to hide from myself. And so that's kind of always been my own special time to just like be myself and do my work that I know and that I love without feeling like I'm not meeting expectations. So I very, very, very particularly enjoyed every single thing I did for this show.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really. Every single thing. Like I said, I made this for me. It's so weird. It's so weird being an artist who makes stuff and shows in galleries, It's like, 92% of this room knows exactly what I'm talking about. And it's weird for me too, because I get in this weird thought loop of imposter syndrome, just constantly. Like, what am I even doing here? This is crazy. But I'm also like, but I should be. New things. Capsule collection. So like all of these were an idea that I had. I wanted to do transparent, translucent textile channels and fill them with things. I was just like, I want to do that. And I'm going to use that to tell all these different stories. And that was new to me. And I loved it. I'm like, if I could just like sew these freaking channels. And it's also a very ADHD thing to do. It's also a very me thing to do, which is very like all or nothing and a little bit extra. Why do we need to be extra? Don't you know that like you have a third as much time as everyone else because you're spending 2/3 of your time like this? Why would you make it harder on yourself? And I'm like, because it's on brand. So like I could have just taken a piece of fabric and been like, oh, so, but I didn't. I doubled up the fabric, cut it into strips. Then I serged the edge, each edge, and then I zigzag stitched those together. And so, I loved it. I loved it. It was great. Yeah. So awesome, so much fun. I want to make just 800 million of them. Something else that is really fun. Did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Something else that I really love about being a person who works in multiple mediums, and especially kind of weird stuff, is that when I'm thinking about a show, I'm not thinking about like the absolute final product. I'm thinking about the story. I'm thinking about what I want to look at. I'm thinking about like the gallery space and how to fill it and how to do different things, how to make it exciting and engaging, to where hopefully anyone, but at least a person like me, walks in and goes like, ooh, what? I don't even know what to look at first. Like, what's going on? And so it's really fun for me shopping for supplies and materials, like a little raven or crow to just gather and give to myself as treasures. And so I know that if I go to the two best places on the entire earth, Who Gives a Scrap and the Restore, I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna be like, I know what I'm trying to do. I know exactly, it's not like, oh gosh, I'm just like, I'm on a mission. I'm gonna find what I'm looking for. And it doesn't mean I'm gonna find that thing, it just means I'm gonna find like that thing. And then I walk around and I walk around and I walk around and I find like all of the things, and I love it, and that's what I want to look at, and that's what I want to like use. And so I'm really driven by materials, and I'm really driven by whatever is going to get that concept across, whatever is going to tell that story. I honestly have no clue like what a person thinks walking in and seeing like this. I walk in and see this, like this right here actually is one of my absolute favorite pieces in the show. It was one of my very favorite to make. It's one of my very favorite to look at. I like to touch it. But I don't know what you think.
You know what I like in this show.
I mean, I know what you like, girl, but but see, so I just, like I am so enticed by every single thing in here. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I made it. Like, if you made it, I'd be like, dude, Jess. Now, am I saying like, this is worthy of XYZ? But I want to look at it. I really enjoy it. So you probably don't want me to talk all night, and I should probably talk about like specific things. I don't know. Does anyone have a specific question about a specific piece or like? So this show has been in the works for a long time. I had initially applied to show in the East Gallery. And when I did that, Abby was like, well, I was gonna ask if you wanted to have this show in the other room. And I was like, okay, great. That's another shout out, girl, I see you. Yeah, but it's like, I can't do anything with time. I can't, like I can't, I've oil painted in the past. I've done like acrylic, I've watercolor, I've done things that have to dry and that have to be presented a certain way and that have to, you have to do more steps and more steps. And I just can't wait. I just can't wait. Plus, so it's like, you have a lot of notice for a show, like you don't just have a show. It's like you have to wait. And if I made a show immediately, I would not have any interest in it now. Yeah, I have to wait until the last minute. I don't have anything good enough to say before that. And my brain doesn't kick into gear until a certain time. I wish it were like 2 weeks earlier, maybe, that it would wake up in there. But yeah, I think I need that, like, I don't need 15 other projects at the same time, but I do need to like be taken over by it. I can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna make something. Okay, that's good enough. Okay. Oh, no. I have to be like locked in my room, music, just going. And that's my process. That's what I love. And that's what makes things that I make more genuine than they would be if I made them in advance. Because that's happened before, where I was like, oh, I'm doing so well, you guys. Like, this is awesome. I already have like 17 pieces done. And then I was just like, oh, but I only like 2 of them. I'm like, they're good. They would sell, but I don't care. I don't look at that. Like, so yeah, I am very kind of like, I need to be in that moment of yes, the excitement and the like imminence, and yes, you know that place where we live. I'm now going to say words with my mouth, and the topic is going to be societal expectation. Sydney. Okay, great. Let's do it. Oh gosh, it's so hard out here. It's real hard. So basically how I deal with societal expectations is to build relationships to such a degree that the people in question just fully know what they're getting into, so that I can then do what I need to do without feeling like I have to, oh yes, oh thank you for this opportunity. Oh, I'm like, you fucking know I love you, and you know I love this opportunity. But I don't have to like put on this face of oh yes. Sometimes it's super easy for me to meet deadlines. Sometimes it's not. Part of my process for making a show specifically is pages and pages and pages and pages of notes and pages and pages of notes, and then like a culling. So it's like, I will start that way ahead of time. I mean, I'll start that a year in advance, and I'll just be like, no, that sucks. I'll be editing like in my head. So even if I'm not physically touching things and working on finished pieces, I am constantly thinking about art and thinking about pieces. And I'm there and I'm troubleshooting in my head. And I'm like if I'm like this and you think nothing's going on, I am like, what kind of paper am I going to use? Oh, I can't use that paper because I really want to use that brush. And if I use that brush, it's going to destroy it. Oh, well, I really want to do this on this textile. Oh, well, that textile, if you use that thread, it's going to do this and that. Oh, yeah, you're right. So I am just making everything start to finish in my head. And that's another reason why I wait till the end, because it's like, I already know what it's going to look like. And I already know that I can't use that thread. And I already know that that's not going to be strong enough to hold XYZ. And so that is very much up here. Expectations, societal expectations suck. They suck. And that's part of the thing about the not wanting to carry it anymore. I don't want to carry this shit anymore, guys. I'm 40, okay? I'm like, I like to do this stuff. I feel like I should keep doing this stuff, but I don't want to like have to balance that weird part that just doesn't fit anything about me. I'm like, if you like what I make and you like who I am as a person, you have to be okay with the fact that that's not, I can't be compared like to someone who's just awesome and great at everything. It's very hard for me. It's very hard for me because I am a professional person and I am wanting to be taken a certain way, and I do want people to know they can trust me to get my job done, and I know I'm very capable of doing everything that I need to do. And so it's just like me sitting in my head of like what, like, a big ADHD term is masking, okay? I'm just constantly masking. So I'm trying to figure out like, okay, who can see under this mask? Who do I not need to try to convince I'm gonna get the thing done? Because like they already know. They already know. So it's just really hard. It's just hard trying to figure out like, when do you have to do that? When do you not? And like, when is it worth it? And when is it not? And so, yeah, I kind of just, yeah. It's societal expectations are hard, and I just don't want it anymore, really, very much at all. So when you see my billboard that's like, hi, ask me to do the thing, like you're here I come. You'll know. I really am just like, and I am, oh God, I am like a private person. I'm not like, hey, here's my business. But right now I kind of feel like I just want to be like, hi guys, hi, just so you know, like this is what you're getting. Okay, it's gonna be done. Everything's gonna be good. Let's have a good time. But also like, I'm not gonna. This series is called Apparitions. So apparition is kind of another word for ghosts. And it's kind of funny. Like this series, I love it so much. It was hard for me because I kept looking at it and I kept thinking, should I paint the backgrounds? Like, should I paint crazy designs, neon designs, like on the sculptural bit themselves? This was the hardest. I had a hard time with this, okay? And then I was just, no, I kept just telling myself, no, no, just leave it as like a quiet moment. And what's really funny is ahead of a show, especially if it's a bunch of different stuff, I always draw out the gallery and I kind of plot where in my mind I would put things, only just so I can know that I have enough and that it's, going to be a good situation. And this is exactly where and how I thought this would go. So when I walked in here, I was like, yeah, yeah. I'm an only child. I really like being alone. I really like being alone a lot. Like I like myself a lot, and I like to be alone with myself, and I like to just be quiet. And maybe that's because being by myself is a safe place to be. I'm not worried at all about what other people think. I'm not worried about like how messy my room is if the door is closed and I'm the only one in there. It's like, so I really value like quiet times. And this kind of felt very arterial to me. It felt very like where the blood goes. And then it's like, well, it's white. Why is there no blood here? Maybe there is. I don't know. So I just have a whole like relationship with these, and these feel very like, they feel very me in just like a very quiet way, It's like a lot of people in this room, some of the people in this room know that part of me, but some don't. Because like if you see me in this room with my wine and I'm like, but so this is just kind of like that other, this is the calm, this is the like, not everything is wild and crazy and like Bambi fabric and neon and baseball cards. It's, like I have that too. And it's just like my little honoring of that. And like making those, oh God, you guys, like you have to do stuff with your hands, like Pete's sake. They're just, oh God, yeah, it's so satisfying, yeah. Behind these, Okay, well, this is like really telling. This is almost kind of the poster child for this show. There are like 3 poster children, but this is a good one, okay? So it says, if I like it, I mean, if I really like it, is that enough? Which is how I feel about art. It's how I feel about every single thing that I ever make. And that comes from that place of like, okay, I'm showing in galleries. You know, it's like, I want this to sell. I want this to sell more for the gallery than I do for me. And it's just that relationship that you know, it's that weird dance of you know. And so it's like, okay, if I like that, you know, if I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, let me try to judge this objectively. Let me try to like think about what someone might make of this. And think if I should finish it more, or if I should do this, or if I should do that. And I'm like, I don't wanna. I like it. Like, this is really speaking to me a lot. Like, this is saying a lot to me. I wanna touch it, I wanna look at it, I wanna aim different lights at it, I wanna look at the back of it. And I feel that way about everything. Like, I'm so personally jazzed on like every single thing in here that I'm like, if I like it, like, is that enough? Or do I have to make sure it's framed in a certain way and I spent the correct dollar amount on the frames and you know, this and that and blah, blah, blah. Like, what am I trying to fit? Like, why am I making stuff? Am I making stuff to fit how you're supposed to make stuff? Or am I making stuff that like I'm the only one who can make that and I want to keep liking it and looking at it, and in a year I don't want to be like, you shouldn't have framed that. That really should have just been hanging so that you could like see a shadow and see the strings hanging down, you know? So it's like, I mean, really, what did this just do? Give me a break. I like that. And I'm deciding that like that's enough for me because I really like it. So like, if I'm just gonna make stuff because I want to and it's gonna hang in my house, great. If I'm gonna continue to make stuff and show in galleries, great. But it's like, for me, I'm at a point where me liking it is enough for me because I can't possibly know. I don't know what you think. I don't know what almost any of you think about anything in this room. I don't know. So feel free to share. I'm not offendable. It's science, people. Yeah, I do want to kind of explain this one because I had a relationship with this one, and a lot of people resonate with it. So this was one of the first things I made for this show, and I really love it. And if you've seen the show card for this show, there are 3 pieces on it. You'll see all of those things in this room, but at the time I sent the photos, none of them were finished. Like, I knew I was going to use these fabrics together, so I just like laid the strips next to each other and took a picture. And that's almost what I do for every single show. I'm like, I know this is going to be a thing. This is representative, but it's not done. But so I knew that I wanted to make these are wired, you can move them. I knew I wanted to make a sculptural textile vase surround. So there's a vase in here. And if you came to earlier, there was a tulip. Yes, I knew I wanted to make this, but I only finished it right before intake because, of course. And when I put the wires in and then sewed the edges, and I kind of just shaped it a little bit, I was like, I'm going to say a bad word, okay, I'm sorry. I was like, motherfucker. This is a jester's hat. I was like, this is straight up a jester's hat. And then I stood here and I was like, geez, it's like these things almost kind of create themselves and I'm just the messenger, because like, what am I doing if I'm not here to like entertain the court, you know? It's just like, wow, if this is a show about me, this jester's hat just like materialized, and I just thought it was wild. That is like the deepest piece in the thing, but I'm not going to keep you until like tomorrow. So that is the 1992 complete set of Upper Deck limited edition holographic cards. Okay, I know that you knew that, but so when I was a kid, I played baseball. Like I played Little League baseball when there were 3 girls in the league. Anytime I said, "Oh yeah, I play baseball," so, you know, it'd be like, "Oh, softball, cool," and I'm like, which wasn't necessary, but I was a child. And I was also in the after-school baseball card collecting club, and Upper Deck cards. Anybody cards? Cards? Anyone? Upper Deck cards. Oh man, those shiny bitches. They are the Upper Deck. They're like the top shelf. They're so pretty. They always have a holographic element, and I was obsessed with them. Yes, so like I was a tomboy. Where do I go from there exactly? So that piece is called Boy Collection, in parentheses, runs in the family. So I don't have a dad. And it was just before I got married. So almost 6 years ago. No, I think it was like 6 years ago, like May, June, kind of right now, actually. I randomly like found my dad on Ancestry. What I found was a yearbook photo, and I like saw the name, and I looked over, and I was like, holy fuck, that's me. So, and then about 10 minutes later, I found the death certificate, which was just like a whole thing. And I was like, okay, bye. For like 3 weeks, I was just like, I can't even, whatever. So then I did. I went back and found family, sent them a message, and it was like, oh my God, are you my niece? And all I said was like, hey, do you know this guy? And so like, found my family. So, and then through that, I discovered that my father, to whatever knowledge, had aided in creation of, 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. And he raised the boys. So it was like, I'm not going to like assume, I don't know this person, and I never will. God damn it. But, so this piece is just about like how I just kind of took that, how I kind of processed that. Like, not that a child needs to qualify for a parent's love, but I was like, fuck you, dude. I was in the baseball card collecting club. Like, I would have been such a cool daughter for a dad to have. So that's what that's about. And it was just really fun to make. Oh my God, it was so fun to make. And like, if you get up close, and you know what? Touch it. Touch everything. Touch everything. Again, with the complicated channel process and whatnot, but when I got to the bottom, I just kind of did some hand stitching with like a different, more sparkly thread. And I was like, this is like me fixing this for myself. Like, nobody can do it. Like, I just have to like be okay with this. So yeah, that's why baseball cards. And nostalgia. Oh God, I'm like, for real, it's, yeah. Google or nostalgia will kill me. Yeah. I was very intentional about translucence and layers, and like things that you can kind of see, you can't really see. Or like, you can see this piece, And you can dismiss it and go to the next and dismiss that. It's totally fine. I love watching people look at my stuff. And I stood here on opening night right behind someone who was just talking mad shit about this. And I was just like laughing. I was like, yes, please share your strong feelings with your friends. I love it. At least you're not bored. And I could tell you why, and I think it's really funny. But anyway, so yes, that like the layers and the rawness and my conversations with myself about, is it okay to leave this like this? Is it acceptable to not finish this completely? Is it, now everything in here is finished, like according to me, it is finished. But you know, like that has a safety pin up there because those were two different lengths. And what's funny is that was actually like Abby kind of made a decision in there, and I got here and I was like, oh, this isn't exactly how I imagined it, but like it's perfect because to me, like curation and art is a living thing. It's like I don't ever want to just make something and slap it on a wall and like call it a day. Like I want it to blow in the wind. I want it to have a shadow. I want someone to be like, oh, I want to see what the back of that looks like, because that's how I look at art. Like, and yeah, like I can tell you the absolute I'm gonna get nostalgic and say F situation I had with this Bambi. And I can show you the stitching, and I can tell you how I was like, should I take this out and redo it? And it's a situation, like you can tell that we were having a moment together, and I was like, no, because that's what it is. That's what it is, and that's what it's supposed to be, and that's what my entire life is, trying to figure out the balance between being true to myself and making sure that I like something while also making sure it fits the bill for whatever it should be. And so there were a lot of happy accidents in this show, and there were some surprises that I was like, I didn't plan this, but like this decided it wanted to be like this, and this is way better than I could have actively forced it to be. So I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's like my own kind of therapy. Even though professional therapy is very important, and people who provide professional therapy are very important and appreciated. And that's the things about the things that I made. Oh, and I really like that too. And the display is separate from the pieces. So that's like the 6 plaques that are all from moments in my life, which some are embarrassing and some are not. And yeah, but it was like, okay, so I have these 6 plaques and my time is running out. I could just give the plaques to Abby, give the plaques to Abby. There are pedestals, give the plaques. And I was like, but I could just make an entire display. I could make an entire display. And so that the display is its own piece, and it's called Why Do in One Step What You Can Do in 47. And that is ADHD, and that's just my entire, like, my True North people, you know that that's me, because it could be easy, but I'm like, ooh, but what if we did that? Ooh, but have what? And they're like, yeah. So that's all. I think that's all about the things that I made. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you.